time for YouTube again. Okay, before I introduce you to some of my little friends, this is part 3 of sawing a rusty old lady in half. The rest of her is lying over there in my graveyard. And the new frame portion is on. We had some gully washers here a couple minutes ago, which the vehicles got washed off, all except for the pollen that's on them. This gives you an accurate representation of what you're going to, need to do the job. That may not be the best welder. It was back in the day, way back. It's a flux core, and I do prefer that too, because of welding with rusty, dirty steel. And it didn't turn out all that bad. So, center support is in. Spring hangers here. I just dressed up these splice plates, okay, because these bolts are going to come out. These holes will get re-drilled. These bolts are going to stay here. This is one thing you need to preserve your drill bits, okay? You do not drill with drill bits in steel dry. And both of my Ryobi drills, brand new, less than 6 months old, are broke, and an older one. Three Ryobis. And notice I don't work with any trash there as far as air guns, making sure wheels and tires are tight. Here's your spring hanger. Here's your, this. This is nozzle jelly, okay? This is anti-spatter. Some of this that you're seeing here is spatter. It keeps it to a minimum. And some of that is from grinding, okay? And then these are the rest of my friends. My welding helmet's over there because it's got spotlights and batteries and all kinds of doodads on it. These are your tools right here. Besides, and I buy a good cobalt drill bit. Okay, see those? I get those down at an industrial supply. And folks, I would not recommend letting your ear things sit in the hot sun like I got a shock a couple hours ago, so I put them, these are going to go in the shade, and then they'll go back. I actually put them in the refrigerator. That's how freaking hot they got. So, I'm going to give you an explanation that you can't not weld, okay? And to draw some of the steel together, you need bolts and stuff, and if not, heat it up and pound it. I'm not a big fan of that. The welds are pretty strong, and I'm actually going to go over them. And the only reason why is I ran out of daylight and I ran out of weld wire. You see, that sort of thing happens. This is the Hillbilly Hills, and it's getting to be beer 30. I got a beer sitting over there, courtesy of one of my customers. I'm going to tilt this a little bit, okay? What you want to keep in mind is maybe somebody's family is going to be riding in this. I mean, even if it's your truck and your family, never mention it to a state inspection mechanic that the frame has been repaired, okay? Because around here they make a big deal out of it because they want to make a lot of money off of you. I had an argument when I first started doing this. It was one of my own trucks, and I told the guy, he said he's a NACE mechanic. I says, well, I'm an A&P off United States Navy warship. I says, with 2 master's degrees. Well, I'm NACE certified. I said, no, you're a fucking retard. I said, I swear to God, I do talk like that to people's faces because, well, I'm not the guy to antagonize, but I went to his boss and I had 2 square shingles in the back of it, some tools in the toolbox that was on the back of the truck, and I told him, pick it up by the bumper with the lift, and I put it in 4-wheel drive and drove it off the lift, about that high off the ground, maybe 18 inches or whatever. Boom! The frame was rock solid. I says, now what's this retard telling me that my frame is weak? And the guy, like, well, he gave me my $50 back. He gave me an apology, put the sticker on the truck, and he said, I'll have a talk with him. So that's where it ends up. But know what you're doing if you're going to do this for somebody else, okay? This is a long, drawn-out process, and other complications came in, like with tools breaking. And I always say, getting parts is a hard thing. I'm fighting internet problems, so sometimes I get a little window and I've got to order a whole bunch of parts. Then I got to do a whole bunch of accounting in my little book with the little bit of money that I'm getting. It doesn't go that far, and sometimes like this guy, he's going to get billed for it a little bit, but that's not really his fault. But it is a product of the Joe Biden administration. and I gave everybody that big speech about fucktardism with your kids. You know, you're going to tune up the car today, or you're going to change the oil. And I know the kids today, they want to stay on their cell phones and their gaming. You know what? Get rid of that bullshit out of the house. Get rid of it. My one daughter has 3 children now. The one down in Texas, and the sympathetic grandmother. Not mentioning who that grandmother belongs to. She bought them gaming shit. And well, something happened with the thuggery from the gaming shit. And now I grew up Amish. She grew up Texas in the Bible Belt. And her mother was on drugs bad. And she flipped out. And she destroyed everything, including what grandmother spent a couple $100 on. Because the money could have been better spent as bad as I'm struggling. And she's struggling down there now with the cows and this bullshit that's going on is terrible. But she destroyed everything. And Brad took the kid up on the roof. The kid's knees were shaking, crying. And he says, you know, it's time. You got hair on your nuts. It's time you learned why you have hair on your nuts. And Brad never talked like that. He's Air Force. And my oldest son is starting to say things like that now. And that's what I had that in one of my videos a couple months ago. My son says, "Oh my God, Dad, I'm turning into you." Well, I was pretty tough on my kids, but none of them are on dope. None of them are in jail, and most of them are substantially or moderately employed. Like I said, my kids' business hit the skids. The one guy that just came up with some advice, he's putting his own frame together, wanted to see what I'm doing. He's a longtime friend from where I grew up, down in the South Allentown area. Traveled all the way up here this morning to take a peep at what I had to tell him, because he's going to do it for himself. And I encourage that. I'm not out to make money, but his parents, they owned a little grocery store where I grew up, you know, like a little corner store. And it's still there. He runs it now. His parents are deceased and everything. And he said to me, "I see what you're saying," because he's struggling right now. He doesn't know if he's going to be able to hold on to the store. He's, you know, everybody's like us, behind the 8 ball. So learning to do things for yourself and not letting your family suffer that your kids are in there. You take that gaming bullshit and that other thuggery stuff out of the house and tell them don't ever bring it back. That was part of removing the discipline from the schools, the religion. I've been my nose has been running all day. Excuse me. I should have brought my beer up, but I'm not out to get drunk. It's the humidity here is like wearing a turtleneck sweater. So anyway, these are my my professional glasses from the Navy ship. That gives you pretty much accurate representation, and especially about oiling your drill bits if you want to make more than one hole with them, and learning to slow the RPM down. Because I'll tell you something, I have not met a true, even an air, supposedly a professional air drill that has an adjustment. This has no adjustment. You cannot get the good regulators, because you used to be able to regulate your air drill and some of the tool speeds by putting an external regulator on the tool. Now that was just one with a dial. I'm not talking like one for a paint gun with the gauge and all that dumb shit. I mean, you could use something like that, but it's going to break, especially when you toss this on the ground. You got to pick up that tool. And believe me, I don't treat my tools like that. But the era of tools, I just went to someplace I don't like to shop, is Flea Bay, and I just bought myself 2 vintage 3/8 drills with the keyed chuck. Okay, I prefer a keyed chuck. There is a chuck key out here somewhere. I don't know where it went to, if it's even still on there. When the gully washers came, I might have grabbed it and threw it back in a cabinet. But I do have another keyed drill, an older one, and I was trying that out. And as far as I was concerned, the air drill was doing fine. But with the air drill, it makes the air compressor run, which makes your electric meter spin. I'd just rather have a regular 3/8 drill. But like I said, I'm not finding, I just ordered vintage drills, and they have the adjustment on the trigger that'll be able to do the job. And this stuff, it gets fastidious, and then you're going to start learning about the tools. But if nobody tells you that there are other tools and other things, because basically you're at the mercy of what these box stores have, like Harbor Freight, not the best place to shop. That's why I don't have a Harbor Freight air gun. I have this old Blue Point. I got a rebuild kit for it, and they don't sell them no more. I should have bought two. But this was rebuilt maybe about 10, 12 years ago. And I didn't buy that from Snap-on. That was some huckster on Fleabay where I got the rebuild kit for that gun. Like I said, Fleabay is good for a few things, but like I said, new parts and stuff, when you're getting the wrong parts and stuff and it supposedly fits your car, and well, I mean, they got a little bit better, even Amazon, enter the model of vehicle or whatever, but especially like when you're dealing with Ford, my nemesis, you know, full of recalls and defects. Ford has so many frickin' variations, especially of the braking systems, stuff in the on the dashboard there, options and features. Buick started doing that. GM started doing that for a while with the Buick model, and I think Oldsmobile, and that was kind of one of the reasons why the popularity left the brand, because when you went to go get parts for it, you realized some of those parts were either not available or they were astronomically priced. And Orange Cat is here to say hello for this video, and he's endorsing my message. So doing things for yourself. The new frame is on. Now we got to connect the hangers and stuff. The unfortunate part is I ran, as I said, out of daylight, and I ran out of weld wire. Thanks for dipping your tail in whatever you dipped it in. Keep that tail down. Anyway, I appreciate people watching, because I got some comments on my about fucktardism in the family. Remember what I told you. Get rid of that thug shit, anything like it, in the house. Okay? One thing I applaud my Spanish neighbors for, everybody's down on Spanish people, illegals or whatever. He takes his family to church. He takes his family to church. I don't have a problem with these families. I've got a problem with my government, with the bullshit they're pulling. Okay? And as far as, like I said, when they talked about rap as a form of expression and art, no, it's a thuggery. And it was one of the things destroying this country. But I endorse my message about putting these old trucks back together, okay? You're not going to put an old truck back together without some effort. This is a long time coming, making all these pieces by hand. I've made drop brackets for the exhaust, new drop brackets here. And in the next representation in part 4, because this is actually part 3, you'll get to see all this stuff hooked up and me doing the body work. The body work, as far as I'm concerned, even though it is going to be a bastard, it's still a lot easier than this, making everything day by day, piece by piece. And it's not just that, making it. I say making it. I've got to go get the stuff. I've got to go get exactly what I think I need. And sometimes I get fooled. And even when I go down to the industrial supply place here, and I say I need 20 of these, 30 of those, and they don't have it, because they're getting, it's hard for them to get inventory. So remember that when you're tackling this stuff for yourself. But this guy's getting a stellar job. He's not going to have a bitch in the world. If he does, I'm really going to hit the ceiling. But that's just me. That's your Pennsylvania Dutch uncle. And we're going to let the cat, he's inspecting my work. This is my welding inspector. But hopefully you guys will listen to my advice. And especially if you take this vehicle, you know, like in a state like Pennsylvania, don't tell them the frame was freaking repaired. Because I'll tell you what, half of them are too fucking retarded to even know it was repaired. They think they're mechanics, and they think they want to make an issue because they think they know something. And when I say they're that BF stupid, they are. I've encountered them. Oh, I'm NACE certified. Yeah, well, I'm United States government certified retard. I hate to say, you know, and like I said, I hate to say things like that on my channel, but Pennsylvania is a whole other place of, what do I want to say? These people, they want to make themselves like they're important or something, and they know something I don't know. Oh, well, you repaired that frame yourself. I'm not passing it. I'm flunking it. Okay, well, let's put it up and we'll drop it off the lift. I'll put it in full reel. I'll show you the frame is freaking, you know. People are just, it's a world that we don't want to live in, and that's why I told you about taking that gaming shit and throwing it away. Because if that guy actually spent any time in a welder's school or knew about structural like I did in aviation, and as I said, we weld and bolt things. We weld and rivet things. And then there's other fasteners, and there's epoxies and different things that we use. Aircraft suffer a lot of stress, a lot of vibration in the air. They age sitting on the ground. And the aviation mechanics like me, we do the best thing we do to keep that old bird in the air. We don't want people dead. I'll tell you what, I don't have a body attached to my name because everything I fixed right. Thanks for watching my videos, guys.